Hey everyone, so you know how we all have those little things we do every day that just feel completely normal to us? Well, I was thinking about how some of our quirks might totally baffle people from other countries. It's pretty funny when you think about it, right? Let's dive into 38 things that are totally typical for us Americans, but might leave our friends from around the world scratching their heads. Number 1. The tipping culture, a matter of custom. In the US, tipping is a deeply ingrained practice that most of us take for granted. When you dine out, it's almost second nature to calculate a 15 to 20% tip for your server, and not doing so can be seen as rude or disrespectful. We've all been there, sweating over the bill, trying to remember whether we've tipped enough while feeling the pressure of watching the server walk away with an empty smile. However, if you travel abroad, you might be surprised to find that tipping isn't always the norm. In countries like Japan and South Korea, for instance, leaving a tip can actually be viewed as an insult. Service workers are expected to provide excellent service as part of their job without relying on extra cash from customers. Travelers often find themselves warned about American tipping customs before they embark on their journeys, highlighting just how different our expectations can be. Number 2. Wearing shoes indoors, a comfort versus cleanliness debate. For many Americans, wearing shoes indoors is just part of everyday life. Whether it's coming home from work or hanging out with friends, those shoes often stay on as we walk around our homes. It's cozy and familiar, right? But step into cultures like Japan or many Caribbean nations, and you'll find that this practice is quite different. In these places, removing shoes before entering a home is a sign of respect and cleanliness. Imagine the surprise of a visitor who walks into a Japanese home still sporting their sneakers, only to be gently reminded to take them off. This cultural divide emphasizes how our norms can shape our experiences and expectations in different environments. Number 3. Physical greetings, the hug dilemma. In the US, hugs are a common way to greet friends and even acquaintances. We often throw our arms around each other in warm embraces that convey affection and comfort. It's like a universal language of connection, until it isn't. In many European and Asian cultures, however, this physical closeness can feel too intimate and is typically reserved for close family or dear friends. So if you're in Germany or Japan and you go in for a hug, you might receive an awkward sidestep instead. This difference highlights how cultural boundaries shape our expressions of warmth and friendship. Number 4. Striking up conversations with strangers, the art of small talk. In the US, striking up casual conversations with strangers is as natural as breathing. Whether it's chatting with someone in line at the coffee shop or making small talk with your neighbor, we thrive on connection and friendliness. However, in countries like Germany and Japan, initiating conversation with strangers can be seen as intrusive or even inappropriate. Imagine trying to make small talk with someone in Berlin only to be met with puzzled looks or silence. This cultural distinction showcases how social norms dictate our interactions and comfort levels. Number 5. Smiling at strangers, a friendly gesture or suspicion. In America, smiling at unfamiliar faces is considered a friendly gesture. It's our way of spreading positivity and goodwill. We often greet strangers with bright smiles as we pass by each other on the street. However, in some European cultures, this behavior can be viewed as unusual or even suspicious. A smile from a stranger might raise eyebrows instead of eliciting warmth. This disparity illustrates how expressions of friendliness can vary widely across cultures, reminding us that not everyone interprets social cues in the same way. Number 6. Large food portions, a feast or a famine. One of the most recognizable aspects of dining in the US is the sheer size of our food portions. When you order a meal at a restaurant, you can expect plates piled high with generous servings that often leave you feeling like you've just completed a marathon. However, in many countries, especially in Europe, smaller portion sizes are the norm, reflecting more health-conscious attitudes towards eating. Visitors from abroad might find themselves astounded by the amount of food served on their plates in America, sometimes leading to leftovers they never anticipated. This contrast brings attention to how our dining habits reflect broader cultural values concerning health, economy, and lifestyle. Number 7. Customizing restaurant orders, personal preferences. In the US, customizing restaurant orders has become part of our dining culture. Whether it's asking for no onions or adding extra cheese, we love making our meals our own. However, in culinary-rich countries like Japan, altering a dish can be seen as disrespectful to the chef's skills and expertise. Imagine ordering sushi and requesting all kinds of modifications. You might receive some disapproving looks. This cultural difference underscores how food traditions shape our perceptions and expectations when dining out. Number 8. Taking leftover food home from a restaurant, a cultural norm. In America, asking to take home leftover food is perfectly normal. In fact, many view it as wasteful not to do so. We routinely request doggy bags to ensure that nothing goes uneaten, turning what might have been wasted into tomorrow's lunch. However, in many countries, including France, this practice can be frowned upon, seen as implying dissatisfaction with the meal itself. The French even had to enact laws to normalize taking home leftovers due to rising food waste concerns. This cultural contrast highlights how attitudes towards food consumption can vary greatly based on local traditions and social norms. Number 9. Finishing your plate, a sign of appreciation. In the US, it's considered polite to finish everything on your plate. Growing up, many of us were taught that leaving food behind is wasteful, and we often feel guilty if we can't clean our plates. It's a custom that reflects appreciation for the meal prepared for us. However, travel to countries like China or the Philippines, and you might be surprised to find that leaving food on your plate is actually a sign of abundance and respect for the host. It suggests that the host provided more than enough food, and it's a gesture of gratitude rather than dissatisfaction. This cultural difference highlights how our eating habits are deeply influenced by local customs and values. Number 10. Public nose blowing, a cultural divide. In America, blowing your nose in public is generally accepted. It's viewed as a natural part of dealing with a cold or allergies. Many of us have seen someone discreetly step aside to blow their nose, and it hardly raises an eyebrow. However, in many countries, such as parts of Europe and Asia, this action can be considered quite rude or unrefined. In these cultures, people may prefer to excuse themselves to a restroom or use a tissue privately, as public nose blowing might be viewed as a lack of decorum. This illustrates how personal hygiene practices can vary widely across cultures, shaping what is deemed socially acceptable. Number 11. Taxi seating preference, the front versus back seat dilemma. In the US, it's typical for passengers to sit in the back of taxis, creating a sense of personal space between the rider and the driver. This practice feels natural to many Americans, who often enjoy the privacy it provides during a ride. However, in places like Australia, sitting in the front seat next to the driver is considered more polite and friendly. This difference can catch travelers off guard, as they may not realize that their choice of seating could be interpreted as standoffish or unfriendly. Understanding these subtle social norms can enhance our interactions when navigating new environments. Number 12. Thumbs up gesture, a universal symbol with varied meanings. In the US, a thumbs up is a widely recognized gesture that signifies approval or success. We often give a thumbs up to express support or satisfaction, whether it's after a good meal or during a conversation. However, in many countries, particularly in the Middle East and Latin America, this same gesture can be considered offensive or vulgar. Imagine giving a thumbs up in a foreign country only to be met with shocked expressions. This cultural divide reminds us that even simple gestures can carry vastly different meanings across borders, highlighting the importance of cultural sensitivity. Number 13. Open mouth laughing, the joy of laughter. In America, laughing openly is seen as a sign of joy and connection. We often burst into laughter without hesitation, whether we're with friends or at a public event. It's natural for us to express our amusement freely, embracing laughter as part of social interaction. Yet, in Japan, this behavior can be perceived as impolite. Laughing loudly or with an open mouth in public settings might draw disapproving looks, as it's considered more respectful to maintain composure. This contrast illustrates how expressions of emotion can differ dramatically based on cultural expectations. Number 14. Being fashionably late, a cultural norm. In the US, arriving fashionably late to social events is often seen as acceptable, sometimes even expected. We might show up 10 to 15 minutes late, thinking we're making a grand entrance while still being polite. However, in countries like Germany, punctuality holds significant value, and being late can be interpreted as disrespectful. Arriving on time is viewed as a sign of reliability and consideration for others' schedules. This difference can lead to misunderstandings for those traveling between these cultures, reminding us that time perceptions are culturally constructed. Number 15. One hand in pocket, casual versus disrespectful. In the US, it's common for people to rest their hands casually in their pockets while standing or talking. It's a relaxed posture that many see as comfortable. However, in Turkey, putting one hand in your pocket can be interpreted as arrogant or disrespectful. It might signal that you're not fully engaged or respectful of those around you. This cultural nuance emphasizes how body language and casual behavior can convey different messages across cultures, impacting how we connect with others. Number 16. Using your left hand, a matter of tradition. In the US, being left-handed is generally accepted, and left-handed individuals are free to use their left hands without thought or concern. Many Americans may not even consider it an issue. However, in many Muslim cultures, using the left hand for eating or passing items is considered offensive due to traditional beliefs about cleanliness and etiquette. The left hand is often associated with unclean tasks. Thus, using it in social situations can lead to misunderstanding or offense. This difference highlights how cultural practices shape our interactions and expectations when navigating diverse environments. Number 17. Showing soles of feet, a cultural faux pas. In the US, it's not uncommon for people to sit back, relax, and put their feet up, sometimes even showing the soles of their shoes. It feels casual and comfortable, especially when hanging out with friends or lounging at home. However, in many Arab and Asian cultures, exposing the soles of your feet is a serious breach of etiquette. It's considered a sign of contempt and disrespect. So, if you're ever in a situation where you find yourself sitting cross-legged and inadvertently flashing your soles, you might want to adjust your posture quickly. This cultural difference serves as a reminder of how physical expressions can vary widely across different societies. Number 18. Drinking someone else's alcohol, the etiquette of sharing. In the US, sharing drinks at social gatherings is a common practice. Whether it's passing around a bottle at a party or offering a sip of your beer to a friend, it's all part of the fun. However, in Norway, drinking alcohol that you did not bring yourself is often viewed as rude. It's almost like an unspoken rule that you should stick to your own beverages, making sharing feel somewhat uncomfortable. So, if you find yourself at a gathering in Norway, be mindful of this custom. This difference highlights how cultural norms around sharing can significantly influence social interaction. Number 19. Men going shirtless, a matter of norms. In the US, it's quite normal for men to go shirtless while at the beach or poolside. It's part of the laid-back vibe that many Americans embrace during warm weather. However, in countries like South Korea, men rarely remove their shirts in public settings, even in casual environments like the beach. This cultural distinction can surprise American visitors who are used to the freedom of beach wear. Understanding these norms helps travelers navigate social expectations while abroad. Number 20. Eating anywhere, a casual habit. In America, eating while walking or on public transportation has become routine. Whether it's grabbing a quick snack on the go or sipping coffee while commuting, it's all part of our fast-paced lifestyle. However, in many Asian countries, this behavior is often considered rude or inappropriate. Eating in public settings is typically reserved for designated areas like restaurants or homes, reflecting a different approach to dining etiquette. This cultural divide can lead to awkward moments for travelers who may not realize that their casual munching isn't universally accepted. Number 21. Declining food or gifts, the dance of politeness. In the US, it's common to politely refuse offers before eventually accepting them. Think of it as a social dance where we express modesty before indulging. This practice is often seen as friendly and humble. However, in many cultures, especially in Arab countries, outright refusal of food or gifts can be perceived as offensive. Accepting these offerings is a way to show respect and appreciation for hospitality. So if you find yourself invited to dinner abroad, embracing the food offered without hesitation can go a long way in building goodwill. 22. Using money that is all the same color, a currency confusion. In the US, all dollar bills are predominantly green and look quite similar aside from slight variations in imagery and denomination. For Americans, this monochromatic currency is familiar and easy to handle. However, visitors from other countries often find this confusing, especially since many places use distinctively colored and sized currency notes based on value. In countries with colorful banknotes, it's much easier to differentiate between denominations at a glance. This lack of visual variety in American currency can leave travelers scratching their heads. 23. Putting a lot of ice in drinks, the ice habit. In the US, requesting a drink filled to the brim with ice is practically second nature. We love our iced beverages cold and refreshing. It's common to see glasses so full of ice that they barely hold any liquid at all. However, in many European restaurants, ice is used sparingly, if at all, and you may have to specifically request it. This cultural preference reflects different attitudes toward beverage service, which can surprise visitors accustomed to the American style of serving drinks chilled with plenty of ice. 24. Using America to describe ourselves, a geographical misunderstanding. In the US, it's referring to our country simply as America feels completely natural. We often use this term interchangeably with United States. However, this usage can be puzzling for many people around the world because America encompasses both North and South America as continents. As a result, non-Americans often refer to our country as the States, emphasizing a different perspective on geographic identity. This distinction underscores how language shapes our understanding of national identity and can lead to confusion in cross-cultural conversations. 25. Writing the date beginning with the month, a format confusion. In the US, the typical way to write the date is month-day-year. For many Americans, this format seems straightforward. We jot down dates without a second thought, often organizing our calendars and schedules with this structure. However, travel beyond American borders, and you'll find that most countries, especially in the United Kingdom and much of Europe, use the day-month-year format. This can lead to some pretty amusing misunderstandings. Imagine showing up for an event on the 4th of July thinking it's in April. This difference can feel counterintuitive to those accustomed to the American system, showcasing how something as simple as date formatting can create confusion across cultures. 26. Advertising prescription drugs, a unique American practice. In the US, direct-to-consumer advertising for prescription medications is a common sight. Whether it's a catchy jingle on television or an eye-catching magazine ad, we're bombarded with information about various drugs and their benefits. This practice is largely unique to the US and New Zealand, as most other countries prohibit it entirely. In fact, US regulations mandate that these ads include disclaimers like, "Ask your doctor about X," which doesn't typically appear in other nations. This cultural divergence can be surprising for visitors from abroad who may wonder why Americans are so openly marketed to regarding their health options. The emphasis on advertising reflects a broader cultural approach to consumerism and healthcare. Number 27. Hanging American flags everywhere, a display of patriotism. In the US, displaying the American flag is a common practice. You'll find flags flying proudly outside homes, businesses, and even fast food restaurants. This reflects a deep sense of patriotism that many Americans embrace. However, in many other countries, while flags are respected and displayed, you typically won't see them as prominently or ubiquitously shown as in the US. For example, flag displays are often reserved for specific occasions or national holidays in places like Canada or the UK, making the American practice appear excessive to outsiders. This cultural difference emphasizes how expressions of national pride can vary significantly around the world. Number 28. Throwing baby showers, a unique celebration. In the US, baby showers are a beloved tradition for expectant parents, often featuring games, gifts, and plenty of cake, a celebration of new life before the baby arrives. However, this practice is quite rare or non-existent in many cultures around the world, including places like Russia or England, where different traditions for celebrating births prevail. Visitors from those cultures may find baby showers to be an intriguing and perhaps over-the-top American custom that emphasizes consumerism and social gatherings centered around parenting. Number 29. Eating bread that almost always tastes sweet, a surprising flavor profile. In the US, many types of bread, especially sandwich loaves and rolls, often contain added sugar, leading to a distinctly sweet flavor. For Americans, this sweetness is familiar and comforting. However, visitors from Europe may find this taste surprising. Traditional European breads typically avoid sugar altogether, resulting in a more savory profile. European travelers might take a bite of American bread, expecting something hearty only to be met with sweetness, which can feel foreign to their palates. This difference highlights how regional preferences shape our food experiences and expectations. Number 30. Using the Imperial system of measurement, a legacy of tradition. In the US, we stick with the Imperial system of measurement, think inches, pounds, and miles, while much of the world has transitioned to the metric system, meters, kilograms. For many Americans, this system feels intuitive and familiar. We grow up measuring everything from our height to our cooking ingredients in these units. However, foreigners often find this preference for imperial measurements perplexing or even outdated. It can lead to confusion when trying to convert measurements during travel, as they grapple with understanding miles versus kilometers. This difference serves as a reminder of how ingrained practices can shape our daily lives. Number 31. Expecting free refills. Everywhere we get a drink, a refreshing custom. In the US, it's completely normal to expect free refills on drinks at restaurants and fast food joints. It's practically part of our dining culture. Whether it's soda or coffee, customers often enjoy bottomless beverages without a second thought. However, in many countries, including France, free refills are not customary. So much so that France even banned unlimited refills of sugary drinks to combat health issues like obesity. This cultural difference can catch visitors by surprise when they realize they must pay for each drink refill rather than simply asking for more. Number 32. Using a lot of water in toilet bowls, a flush of confusion. American toilets are known for having more water in the bowl compared to those in many other countries. This design aids in cleaning and ensures powerful flushes. For Americans, this is simply how toilets work. However, travelers from abroad may find this feature excessive and unnecessary, since many countries use toilets designed to minimize water usage, often featuring design innovations that require less water overall. Visitors might raise an eyebrow at the amount of water swirling around in American toilets, leading to discussions about efficiency and environmental considerations. Number 33. Drinking huge coffees. While we walk around the American coffee culture. In the US, large to-go coffee cups are a familiar sight. Many Americans are often seen sipping on their coffee while walking down the street, commuting, or even rushing into work. It's become a part of our fast-paced lifestyle, where convenience is key, and grabbing a gigantic cup of coffee before starting the day feels almost sacred. However, in Europe, coffee culture is quite different. Europeans typically enjoy their coffee in smaller quantities, often taking the time to sit down at a cafe and savor each sip rather than rushing off with a to-go cup. This cultural contrast can seem strange to Europeans, who might view the American approach as a missed opportunity to enjoy the moment and appreciate their brew. Number 34. Working constantly with relatively little vacation time, the overworked nation. In America, hard work is often celebrated as a virtue. Long hours and minimal vacation time have become commonplace in many professions. Many employees feel pressured to put in extra hours and skip vacation days, a stark contrast to practices in other nations where work-life balance is prioritized. Countries across Europe typically offer more generous paid vacation policies, often 6 weeks or more, which leads their citizens to view American work habits as extreme or unhealthy. This cultural difference serves as a reminder of how various societies value labor and leisure differently, impacting overall quality of life. Number 35. Paying sales tax on pretty much everything we buy, the checkout surprise. In the US, it's standard for sales tax to be added at checkout, meaning the price you see on the tag is not what you'll pay at the register. For many Americans, this is just how shopping works. We've learned to mentally calculate that extra charge. However, for travelers from many countries, including those in Europe where sales tax or VAT is included in the displayed price, this practice can be quite confusing. Imagine finding out your $20 shirt actually costs $22 at checkout. This difference can lead to unexpected expenses and frustration for those unfamiliar with the American shopping experience. Number 36. Using red cups to drink alcohol out of, the party icon. In the US, the red plastic cup has become an iconic symbol of parties and gatherings where alcohol is served. These cups are so ubiquitous that they're almost synonymous with American social culture, perfect for everything from backyard barbecues to college parties. However, people from other countries often find this practice amusing and may even emulate it at their own gatherings, calling them American parties. For many, the red cup represents a fun and casual approach to drinking that captures a sense of carefree celebration. It's fascinating how such a simple item can serve as a cultural identifier. Number 37. Wearing swimsuits to the beach, a matter of decency. In the US, wearing swimsuits at the beach is not just standard, it's expected. Most Americans feel comfortable covering up while in public spaces, with swimsuits being part of the summer wardrobe. However, in many European countries, topless sunbathing is a common practice and widely accepted. Travelers from Europe may be surprised by the American cultural norm that requires swimsuits to be worn at all times on public beaches, seeing it as overly modest. This difference highlights how cultural attitudes toward body image and modesty can significantly vary around the world. Number 38. Going into debt to go to college, the price of education. In the US, attending college often comes with a hefty price tag that can leave students drowning in debt for years, if not decades after graduation. For many Americans, this financial burden is simply part of pursuing higher education. However, in many other countries, education is either free or offered at a low cost, making it hard for foreigners to comprehend why American students carry such heavy financial loads. This disparity underscores how different educational systems can affect individual futures and societal expectations regarding student loans and financial independence. So there you have it. Things that make us uniquely American, even if they seem a little weird to the rest of the world. It's fascinating to see how culture shapes our everyday habits, isn't it? If you enjoyed this trip through our quirks and want to learn more about the fascinating differences between cultures, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let's keep exploring together.